Blessings, beautiful rising, happy full moon, happy blood moon, happy lunar eclipse. Welcome to our Black August meditation. First of all, I want to apologize for anyone who is trying to tune in live for the delay. And if you are watching the replay or the raw play, as I like to say, welcome. I'm also trusting that whoever is aligning to arrive in real time live is going to be divinely aligned and right on time. So welcome. This is our Black August meditation for this lunar eclipse, and in full transparency, I am feeling so much grief and heavy energy. And from yesterday we had talked about the energy of this moon cycle, and specifically the energy of going into pain and grief and release and honoring of the current of this particular cycle that we're in, it being deeply emotional or emotionful, I should say, requiring a lot of rest, and kind of just some of the themes that would be supportive in aligning with this energy. Now, that being said, there is a really important honoring of what is. Part of coming every day and being present in meditation is, being able to be in a space of receptivity, of presence, to be able to reflect, to be able to be present with what is going on, and the call for the awakening of our warrior spirit, the acknowledgement of our ancestors, of where we are in this continuum of time and space, and grounding in that, being present in our bodies, the needs of our bodies, and recognizing that that in itself is an act of healing, which is an act of revolution, right? I've been sharing how Tehuti Ma'at, our revolutionary ideology, is rooted in defining revolution as healing, liberation, restoration, elevation, expansion, unity, strength, courage, prosperity, and joy. And I always lead with that healing part because it is so important for where we are in this moment right now. That being said, being able to be present with what we feel, with what is happening, is something that can be challenging for most of us because of everything that we're actually sensing, that it's, the container life itself doesn't often, roll out the red carpet for you to just be in your feelings in a healthy way. So when we have an energy like this, it does require a lot of presence. And even if you're not able to consciously surrender to give it that presence, it will take its presence. And I feel what is important to share in today's meditation is support and being able to be present with the release and with grief. So if that is not something that you want to consent to or want to be present with, I completely respect that and trust that you respect the space and this container and the trust of what is being cultivated and what is being guided for this meditation. Then you can step out for this meditation and maybe come to it when you are in a place where you want to be present with grief and releasing. This energy is it's like a tsunami. it's so immersive that I find it hard to imagine how someone would not be impacted by it. Um, I believe we won't experience an energy in this particular pattern. You know, we won't ever experience this energy exactly like this ever again because, we're going to continue to move, and everything else that's influencing and interacting with this energy won't be in the exact same place that it is right now. But specifically with this lunar eclipse, I actually don't even, I think in about 7.5 years, we'll experience another eclipse energy, but it may even be a solar eclipse, so it might not even be the same thing. But my point is, this is the final wave in something that we've been moving through, that we've been clearing out for a while. And I want to support us by sharing a sacred principle in Kemetic science that supports with grief and mourning. Mainly because when we're closing things out and we're completing chapters and things are transitioning and we're in that state of like true like death for release and rebirth, there is an energy of grief that's necessary to process that, and that comes with death in general. In Kemetic science, there's always complementary energies, so you'll always have a couple. Well, not always, but in most cases, there are couples energetically. You'll have an active component of the energy, which is usually expressed as a male um, expression in the symbolism, and then the female principle is representing the receptive aspect of the energy. So when it comes to the principles of death and decay, how things um, have to essentially come apart and dissolve, there is a higher octave of that energy that is seen as a necessary and still solar principle, which is Set and Nebetet. And they are the balance to Ast and Asar, who are the principles of life and regeneration. Set and Nebetet represent death and decay. So when we're closing chapters out, these aspects, these forces of nature are present, and we don't always honor them. I mean, sometimes in our culture, like, they can be overly emphasized in unhealthy ways, through aspects of like the dark masculine and dark feminine energy, as we put it. But it's more so like the imbalance of it, because there's healthy or balanced expressions of every energy. There's a full spectrum. We see it unhealthy when it's excessive in any particular way. But again, the full spectrum is the truth of how and what is. So we can see it a lot particularly in Black culture. When we think about the state of African people right now in the world, and to me, I see in a state of humiliation when you think about it in connection to our legacy and the full totality of our story. We are in a place of, like, we're in a degenerate cycle, so we're not at the top in our golden age. We honor and we uplift our ancestors and a lot of these ancient traditions, but our ancestors were in a completely different expression than what we are in right now. And when we think about where we are right now, the emphasis on death and imbalance of sexuality and prostitution and all of the aspects of like the drug and gang, like the way that the culture is being like puppeteered and projected out, from not only like the projections from the media, but also the very lived reality that many people, it's like one of those things where it's like, we can't necessarily say that these expressions that are being projected out through the mainstream current of programming are not real lived realities. They are. and they are expressions of these energies. However, when we allow ourselves to honor and express the energy of death and decay in a healthy way, we allow it and we give it space to channel through and serve its purpose in a healthy way. And that's what I feel that this energy we're in right now is allowing us to do. There's a lot that's being released because there are parts of us that are dying. There are parts of the collective human family, of the African spirit, of all beings on this planet that are decaying because they cannot withstand the transformation. Like they're complete. They've served their purpose in terms of this degenerate cycle and the need to teach us certain lessons and things, and we're all experiencing that in our own microcosm in our lives and the things that we're experiencing. So my intention is for us to be conscious and aware of what those things are within us and around us that are dying, and to give it its due diligence, to do our due diligence in honoring those things, which is part of our ancient tradition, it's part of our respect, it's part of our civility, right? Of us being civilized, is ancestrally we honored and we saw all these different principles because we were in the space of seeing our life and life on this planet in a sanctified way where everything is sacred and purposeful and intentional, and we wanted to be able to participate and facilitate and synchronize with nature. So we had to observe, like what are these different dynamics and things that come into play. So whether it was looking at it through agriculture and sowing a seed into the earth and the need for it to decay in order for it to sprout, or if it's the actual transition of a spirit whose body has died and facilitating the process of honoring its life through grief and through mourning. So Nebetet is the feminine and the receptive principle, as I said, of death, because she honors the grief, she honors the emotional aspect of when something dies, because it's no longer there. And there's a sense of comfort that we also have even in toxic dynamics, because there's beliefs, there's thought forms, there's all this other energy surrounding the things that we've become comfortable with, that we've tolerated, that we've accepted, that we've lived with for so long. So Neter, the divine, is so graceful in allowing us to release in cycles. So a lot of the themes that may be coming up for you may not be new. It may be things that you've been moving through, and it's like, why am I here again? Or how could I be here again? And that we could even have that sense of frustration with ourselves, with others, with the dynamics that we're moving through, the emotions that are coming up for us. So my intention is always to bring us into the heart so that we can actually feel and open our hearts, so we can be in that receptive, compassionate place with ourselves and with others, and recognizing what we're here for in life, to live in this experience, and the necessity and the need of death and what it allows for, and the ease that we can also welcome into our lives by truly just surrendering to the current of energy that we're in, what is naturally happening. So we all have all of these forces and principles of nature existing within us. In different moments we express them. Some of us, they're more emphasized, and some of us more than others. So the energy, the force, the principle of Nebetet, the spirit, the energy of grief, it moves through us, it exists in us, and sometimes we don't give it space. Some of us can be emotionally numb. Sometimes we can have difficulty tapping into these emotions. So these energies and these forces, like eclipse energies, they support us in bringing those things to the surface, because what ends up happening is life makes you have to face the reality of what you're actually feeling beneath, your conscious reality. It makes you conscious of it. And it comes in waves, as I said. So we've been moving through these waves, and this is almost like the final tsunami to like really clear that energy out. So I invite us to honor that energy today. And I'm just going to guide us in taking a few deep breaths, and I'm just going to hold the space in the container for the grief. I have my own grief. I'm looking forward to going to the ocean and just crying and being present and releasing. And here in Cabo Verde, we have a tradition around mourning we call visita, which is like visiting, right? You visit the person. That's what the spirit of Nebetet is. There's the spirit of like going to visit and support you in grieving, because when Asar was killed, it was Nebetet that accompanied Ast and helped her to grieve, right? E visital. She went to go visit her and she helped her grieve. And you've seen this also interpreted in all of the different ways that the cosmology has expressed itself in different traditions that have pulled from it, because these are just energies that move in cycles and waves. So when we deal with it through myth, it's because it's not a story that happened one time. It happens continuously. So there's many interpretations and iterations of it. And one that many people may be familiar with is in Christianity, in the Bible, the story of Mary Magdalene, who actually grieved Jesus with Mary, right? That is like the same dynamic that I'm expressing energetically, and it was put into a story, which we won't get too deep into. But essentially, I'm saying that to allow us to connect with this theme, this energy, the sacred purpose of grief, and just have the space for it. So we'll do some breathing, and I'm just going to support us in visualizing what release energetically looks like, so that we can allow our bodies to communicate to us exactly what the medicine is around the grief that we're feeling, what wisdom it has, I should say, in the truth of it, and hopefully supporting you in actually feeling and sensing that grief within yourself as you're releasing and surrendering any aspects of self-sabotage and ways that you have moved through and perceived yourself in the world, so that you can grow, essentially, because that's really what the whole purpose is. Okay. And then I will just allow the space to just be here, and I will also just allow myself to go into my own grief, and then just close out our practice for today. So please give yourself the space if you need any tissue or paper or a rag or whatever could be helpful for you. If your emotions start to surface and you have that alchemy of tears coming through and allowing you to connect with the ocean through the salty release of our tears, just allowing yourself to be present with what you're feeling right now. Giving yourself a nice deep Inhale and allowing yourself to get comfortable in whatever way feels good for you. One thing that might be really good for you to feel is maybe just being in the fetal position and more like a kind of like a womb space where you can feel and connect to your inner child and just kind of like come back into the womb space to feel the safety of, or the safety to release, because that's another reason why sometimes we can't express our emotions. Like we literally don't feel safe. We're not in the environment that can support us in that. So I do invite you to create that space for yourself. I'm going to actually grab a little bit of sage and mugwort that I would like to burn. Excuse me. And just begin breathing yourself in. Just taking notice of your breath at your own pace. Whatever you're already sensing that has been on your heart, that may be weighing on you. Allowing it to rise. If there's maybe more calcified emotions that are at the forefront, maybe some anger or frustration, just feeling whatever the things are that have been coming up for you, so that we can allow ourselves to peel back those emotions to come into the deeper layers of pain that tend to be behind anger and frustration. Breathing into any discomfort that you're feeling in the body and relaxing yourself into whatever way you can hold yourself in this moment, whatever it is that you feel like you need. Maybe it's just holding yourself. Maybe it's laying and hugging yourself. But just allowing yourself to feel. Feel your pain and peel back the emotions that have been coming up for you over the past few days. As you're breathing, inviting that breath to calm your heart, to open your heart, remembering that an open heart is a safe heart. Through your open heart, you open your channels to your intuition, to your throat, to your voice, to all of the ways that you can protect yourself, that you can be guided into safety. Through an open heart, you welcome the frequency of truth so that things are not hidden behind the shadows. And you can hold the grief that comes with truth, because it can be painful to acknowledge what really is, ways that you may have been betrayed, or ways that you may have lied to yourself, or even expressions of imbalance and disharmony that you've expressed outwardly. that may be weighing on your heart, you can just be present with that. Asking yourself what it is that you need. Trusting that as we move into grief, that there's always a doorway out, that there's still light, that we continue beyond the moments of pain. And once we face them, they don't have to exist and weigh us down in the shadows. We can be present with them. So allowing your breath to guide you to any moments of reflection, of whatever energy has been coming up for you, whatever memories have been surfacing, and allowing yourself to go back into those spaces to feel, and remembering the safety as you return back fully supported with the light of your own becoming, right? Everything that was sown at the new moon, all of the beautiful energy that you know you've been calling into your life that is here with you, ready for you to release and allow for it to fully be in your body and be in your life and exist throughout your life with you. We know that we need space. So the things that we're returning to clear out, our higher self, our Heru, our bird's eye view is here with us to show us the way through the maze as we're in it, navigating and feeling in our humanity, in our lower nature, honoring its value, its worthiness, its truth. Breathing into our whole self that holds both of these existences, our spirit and our body as one. And allowing that awareness to guide us forward into whatever space we're feeling called to reflect. Imagine like we're journeying back on a path that we've already walked, a path that we never wanted to revisit, a painful path. And as you begin to journey back through that path and you feel the sense of coolness or whatever sensations come as you think about whatever you may have been avoiding, dreading, not wanting to walk towards. And having that beautiful light of your higher self with you, warming you from behind, gently ushering you forward, whispering into your ear, "You got this. It's already done. You're already whole. You've already won the battle. You're just going back to retrieve the gems, retrieve the wisdom that you left behind, the pieces of you, the parts of your heart that you closed off, going back to open, to free yourself, to open the door, to allow the air to circulate and allow the density to filter its way out of your energy. And as you make your way towards what you thought you didn't want to see, imagine seeing yourself there, a mirror. And as you look into that mirror and you see the truth of all your scars, of all your wounds, of your mother, of your father, of your grandmothers and your grandfathers, of all of your ancestors, seeing with love, with gratitude, what has made you who you are. With gratitude, they're nodding at you through this mirror, through your eyes. With gratitude, with respect, with reverence, and with a deep, joyful gratitude. Imagine that as you're staring into those eyes, they're welling up with water, with tears that begin to release from your eyes, down your cheeks. And envision that crystalline, glowing light reflecting through those tears, showing you the desires your heart has been holding, showing you the light that you've been afraid to hold and to wield. Breathing, breathing in this moment of presence with the connection of where you've been, where your ancestors have been, and with where you're going. And with the truth of your desires being in existence, visioning through that glimmer of light reflected in the tears, envisioning what it is that you want to see for yourself, what it is that the pain shows you that you've earned. Honoring every step that you've taken, every betrayal, every person that's walked out of your life, sense of abandonment, any of the pain points that you feel, honoring them as rites of passage that your soul has asked for to tune you to play the song of your purpose in this life, giving gratitude with your breath as you envision letting go of the illusion of darkness, the illusion of shadow that this light is radiating and piercing through. Connecting with this reflection of you and your wholeness, of you and the beauty of your tears, of your pain, of your anger, of your rage, of your frustration, of your sadness, your sorrow, your grief. Honoring its beauty for its contrast, to give purpose for the moments of joy, of pleasure, envisioning it transforming, envisioning and seeing the ways that you've already become, you've already alchemized. With gratitude, just leaning in and resting into this moment of acknowledgement of the transformation that you've already been living into, that you've already experienced. The seeds that already sprouted that express who you are, and allowing those expressions that you've experienced, that you've lived, that you've connected with, that you've heard, that you've felt, that you've tasted, of joy, of pleasure, of fulfillment, of protection. Breathing in those moments that you've already experienced, those moments of peace, of serenity, those moments of health, those moments of vitality, of force, of certainty. Breathing them into your body and allowing that energy and that light to radiate through your body, giving you permission to release where you've been. Just breathing into the truth of all of you that you've already been with, that's been here with you this whole time. It's nothing new. Breathing in the courage in our hearts that we've been cultivating. Breathing in all the parts of you you've been remembering and retrieving. And allowing yourself to be present. Be present with your whole self. Welcoming your whole self into your body. Reclaiming sovereignty of the spaces that those thoughts, those feelings, those beliefs those external energies and people were holding and hooking onto, that you've brought this light into, that you've retrieved and pulled your energy back into your body to make space for. Envision that energy just releasing from your body. Imagine like it's just fading and floating into the air around you and interacting with the air and the light and the warmth, and just becoming light, becoming light. Imagine that density, that heaviness just becoming light, light as a feather. Imagine it just floating up into the heavens, into the air, into the cosmos, filtering out of our planet with gratitude for the lessons we've learned, the ways we've learned to value ourselves, to create boundaries, to honor ourselves, to feel more deeply, to connect more truly. Giving gratitude and remembering that tears also bring joy. It's an expression of an abundance of emotion, and it can be any emotion. So as you come into this joy of realization of your wholeness, your oneness, your freedom, as you face yourself, as you face what you had the courage to walk towards, as you face what your fears were fertilizing, through the courage that you cultivated, allowing the joy of your own freedom, of your own fullness, of your own possession of your body, of your authority, of your power, of your life, and your ability to direct the energy where you desire. Allowing that joy to cleanse your desires from any external influences, and allowing your inhales to bring in your authentic dreams that are held in your heart, that your inner child has been protecting, and letting your inner child know it's safe to hand you that pure, authentic, true soul dream that you came in with. Letting your inner child know that you're ready to hold this. Letting the being that you're becoming, your future self, your spirit, allowing it to come through to you in whatever form it takes, energetically, allowing nature to bring it towards you in whatever way. Maybe it's a creature, an animal, a sensation, asking for your future self to come and be present with you. And taking notice of what form it takes. It may take many forms. It may take one simple form, and just imagine yourself merging with that form, feeling it in your body, the buoyancy of the butterfly, the gentleness of the deer, the strength of the lioness. Whatever you feel it merging into your being one with your past and your future in eternity, in this moment, in the present, in the now. Saying, my past and my future are one. My past and my future are one. My past and my future are one. I trust in the illumination from the sun. And just receiving the clarity that nature is illuminating for us in this moment, this beautiful sacred moment, this climax in a very potent cycle that we've been moving through, the seeds that were sown 7 years ago. Going back to where you were at year 0 in 2020, coming back to the wisdom and the openings, the clearings that began, that are materializing now. Honoring the cycles that we've had to move through in order to arrive here, in order to cultivate the strength, to build up the endurance, to acquire the wisdom, to carry forward with our integrity. I invite you to hold your heart and just breathe into your heart with gratitude. And I'm just going to allow us to land wherever the Spirit wants to take us for a few moments, receiving your inner guidance, your inner wisdom with stillness. Giving yourself a few deep, intentional belly breaths. Breathing the wisdom and the communication that is coming through this inner guidance, breathing it into the core of you and releasing out of the mouth. Relief. Inhaling in the wisdom that's come through today's meditation. Releasing anything that's been blocking you from going where you've been needing to go. Inhaling, gently spiraling that breath into the core of you, into your solar plexus, warming your willpower to move you through your release. And I invite you to continue to breathe in whatever way feels good for you. If you want to continue to release through the mouth, if you need to audibly let it out, you can. But I invite you to begin returning to the space that you're in, returning to your body in this moment, everything that awaits you, taking in the environment that you're in, the smells, the sensations on your skin, the colors around you, looking at your body with gratitude. And I want to just remind you that whatever it is that you need to feel and continue to move through, this is not just a moment that comes and goes. It is a process. It is a process of feeling, of connecting, and of being, and of releasing. And it'll show up in different ways, in different dimensions of our lives, in our relationships, in our emotional body, in our physical body. So give yourself what it is that you need to release. If you need to detox, if you need to take a spiritual bath, if you need to go into the ocean or the lake or the river or whatever you have access to release. If there's conversations you need to have, messages you need to give, whatever it is that you need, trust yourself, trust the wisdom that your spirit guided you to today. And remember the journey that you walked through, and remind yourself that in spirit you can always guide yourself to come into that safety, to have the courage to walk that beaten path back, to reflect, to retrieve. So thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. Happy blood moon. I hope that you received whatever you needed from within yourself through today's practice. I thank you for being here. I invite you to share anything that you are feeling or moving through or needing as we prepare to close our Black August daily meditations, as we wind down the month of August. I invite you to be with us on Monday the 31st at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific time. If you want to be with us for our Think Asata Shakur study session for Think, I invite you to also share our meditations and this opportunity with anyone that you think would appreciate it as we close out Black August in unity with our intention of honoring our political prisoners, of honoring all of our freedom fighters, of honoring our own warrior spirit within us, honoring our journey and our fight for victory and liberation through liberating ourselves, our minds, our bodies, our spirits in the ways that we can actively do so right now. So thank you again for being here. These are donation-based offerings. If you feel it in your heart to make a contribution to Tehuti Ma'at, we are a revolutionary instrument that is serving to build cooperatives that bring healing, liberation, restoration, elevation, empowerment, and sovereignty to our people. And you can learn more about that at tehutimaat.org. You can make your contribution via Cash App or PayPal. The links are in the description. And thank you again for being here. And I hope to see you as we close out Black August for the rest of our meditations, if you're able to be with us live or catch the replays. All right. Thank you. Dua. Power.